It's about to go. Okay. All right. So we're on YouTube, right? Okay, thank you, Dan. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Narragansett Town Council Executive Session. Do we have a motion to retire? Sorry, it's June 6th at 7:01. Do we have a motion to retire to executive session of the Town Council in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 42464 and 42465A for the following purpose: litigation, in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 42465A2, Narragansett 2100 versus the Town of Narragansett et al., WC-2021-0448.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we do a roll call? Roll call, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Trudzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. We'll be back in a bit.
Okay. I still have to get my beach passes, which I don't have. I gotta shut my phone off.
We have to have one. Oh, it's on. Everyone good?
I gotta shut my phone off. Hold on.
You have an agenda?
We'll share.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting for June 6th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. We just finished up an executive session. And do we have a motion to seal the minutes for executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the May 2nd, 2022 regular meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to approve the May 9th, 2022 school budget work session minutes?
I'll move the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have, actually, before we move to our announcements and presentations, just want to make a quick statement. We had a meeting a few weeks back. It was our May 16th meeting. And we had, it was kind of it was a long, contentious meeting, I would say. We had a lot of testimony. We had staff speak as well. And there were a few moments during that meeting where I would say emotions ran high, and we didn't always have, I guess, the level of respect that we strive for, and we are always looking to exude and to kind of make sure that we have. That happened, with the public, but also at times with staff as well. And I just want to take a moment to apologize, because there were times where even, where I wasn't always as respectful to staff in conversation as I would like to be, and I think we all would like to be. So I want to take responsibility for that. Make sure that moving forward, we make sure to speak as we want to be spoken to others. That includes staff, the public, and all the colleagues on the council. So just want to make sure that we take a moment, just acknowledge that, and make sure that we kind of learn from our mistakes moving forward. So thank you.
Bully, bully, bully. Thank you.
Next, we have announcements and presentations. We are going to start with a proclamation for our longtime planning board member, Vincent Idalia, who has given his resignation and will be moving on after 13 years of service. So we're going to go ahead and read this proclamation this evening. A proclamation recognizing Vincent Idalia. Whereas Vincent Idalia has served on the Narragansett Planning Board since 2009, serving for 13 years. Whereas Vincent Idalia has been an extremely valuable contributor on the planning board relative to his decision-making, always considering the living and working lifestyles of this town, its organized growth, and its development and preservation. Whereas with a focus on the planning, Vincent has been instrumental in applying the planning to town projects. Whereas participation in and commitment to his community has always been a goal for Vincent, participating in drafting the town's comprehensive plan and Canachet plan. Whereas Vincent, as member of the planning board, provided his extensive knowledge and expertise and recognized ways to balance land ownership rights with the impact on surrounding communities, as whereas Vincent has been a true asset to the planning board over his years of service, and we appreciate his volunteerism to the board. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Narragansett, do hereby extend our sincere appreciation and thanks to Vincent Idalia for his distinguished service to the community and highly commend him for the manner in which he carried out his duties and responsibilities. So, thank you, Vinny. All right. All right. Next, we have the town manager's update. Jim?
Good evening, members of the council, public, and those who are at home. First of all, Jesse, I'd like to thank you for that introductory, genuine, sincere statement. It is appreciated by the staff, and it shows leadership. Thank you. Some local updates. COVID, we have 2 town staff out with it now. We do have test kits available if anybody wants some this evening. See me, and I will get them to you. At a pre-construction meeting for the library on Wednesday, the Board of Trustees chair announced the $400,000 award from the Champlin Foundation for the construction of the library. That group consists of members of the Board of Trustees, 2 members of the council, and town staff, John Gearhard, myself, and Christine Spagnoli. There was a request of an update on the right-of-way survey down the south end of town. We did receive the maps, the survey maps today for down in Conant, Bass Rock, Louise, and we will be looking at those this week to get a more comprehensive report, but we didn't have an opportunity to review them today. For those of you who do not know, the town beach is officially open 7 days a week now for the season. Another item that came up, I discussed it with the clerk today, was the voter initiatives that are pending. 2 of them, the power to sell, for the town to be able to sell town property. This initiative needs 1,093 valid signatures to proceed. Currently, there are 25 valid signatures, and all the signatures are due no later than July 19th. The second voter initiative is the partisan for the elections. We have 0 valid signatures received, and all the signatures, also 1,093, are due no later than July 5th. The signed petitions, if they're out there, should be brought into the Board of Canvassers as soon as they are available so that they can be counted. There's a long way to go on these. And that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. Okay, we do have a few public hearings at 8 o'clock, so we're going to move on and we'll get back to those then. Let's go ahead and get to the open forum public comment portion of the meeting. So if anyone has any comments they would like to make regarding issues that are not on the agenda tonight. So if something's on the agenda, just wait to that item. If you have anything you'd like to speak on that is not on the agenda, this is the time. We just ask you to conduct yourself in a orderly and respectful fashion and to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Please raise your hand if you're interested. We'll start with Alicia Vignali. Please state your full name and address.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Alicia Vignali Henry, 660 Point Judith Road. I'm with Gigi and Stella are also here. So I'm here on, I want to give you guys a few updates about June. I am the chairperson of the IDEA committee, so we have a couple things that we would like to just remind the town about. June is, well, it's my favorite month because it's the kickoff of summer, and it's a very exciting month. We know that June is Pride Month, and it's a great time to find an opportunity to stand with our LGBTQI+ neighbors, celebrate with them, and let them know that we support them. And if you have one, wave your flags, your pride flags high. Also, June, this is exciting for me, is Caribbean American Heritage Month. As I stand here with my 2 beautiful, most of the time Caribbean American daughters, it's just a good time for us to celebrate and really reflect on the historical, cultural, and economic impact that the Caribbean has on our town and our state and our country in general. So maybe we could all find a chance to maybe listen to some good music, eat some food, just really realize that there's so much diversity in the Caribbean that impacts us every single day. And then finally, so tomorrow night at 6 p.m., we are sending out an invite to the community to join us at the community center. We're going to host a session about Narragansett's sister cities. So this is just really going to be an informational session to get the information out there about what Sister Cities is, what the town of Narragansett is, needs to get the process started. So it should be about an hour. I have what do they call, the PowerPoint presentation. I've been working with the Sister Cities International in Washington, D.C., and I have a lot of really great news I want to share with you all. So we'll do that, and there'll be plenty of time for question and answers. All right? Thank you, guys.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Alicia.
Say
Thanks,
thank you.
Alicia. Thanks, girls. Okay, all right, anyone else? Right up front? You can please state your full name and address.
My name is Michael Strout, and I'm the owner of Gotta Barbecue. I live at 24 Barbary Hill Road in Cumberland, Rhode Island. I had the pleasure of addressing you all last month about our licensing and opening up over on Point Judith Road with our new barbecue restaurant. And I'm coming back to you tonight because we're moving rather quickly. We expect to have our final inspections done here over the course of the next 7 days and be ready to open. I have since also submitted an application for a liquor license for this location. I know that there's a special use permit that's supposed, that I don't know anything about. I know that I'm told that it's something that stands in the way. I'm ready to open, like I said, by the 15th of June. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition to our menu. The alcohol and the barbecue are paired together in our other restaurant. We own a liquor license now in our other facility. We, lost my train. Anyway, so I'm curious as to what it's going to take. What do I need to do? Again, I sent the application in. It was pending two pieces. One was our victualling license, which of course we won't get until the health department inspection Monday. And the other one was the, from Department of Revenue, the letter of good standing, which also is just a matter of days. So the clerk's office sent back my deposit. I did send the money for the payment of the permit. And I'm curious as to how or what I need to do or how can I make this go quicker to add on and to make our facility full and up and running at 100%. The reason, again, I ask that, we handle liquor licenses now. We've had one for years. Again, with my background in fire rescue and law enforcement, we're very safe. We will run a safe operation. We know that outside there could be some special requests, some special requirements because we're outdoors and indoors. And I am quite willing to address all of those as they come up. But I do ask if someone can help, that there be a tad bit of expediency to do this.
And sorry, can you remind us, I know we talked about this during the last time you were up here, was it a full liquor license or beer and wine?
I'm requesting a full liquor license mainly because the beer, the craft beers, and the beer and the whiskeys. The whiskeys are the pairings that are so popular in our other restaurant that make things work so well. And like I said, I'm willing to work with all of whatever it takes, from safety issues to what have you, and help pull this through.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, right up front. Please state your full name and address.
Thank you. Patrick Doherty, my office is, I'm an attorney with an office at 887 Boston Neck Road in the town of Narragansett. I also live in the north end of town at 9 Flint Drive. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give public comment. I'd like to dovetail off of what was just said before me with this gentleman that wants to acquire a liquor license. I've had issues for many, many years with the requirement of going for a special use permit to get a liquor license in the town of Narragansett. I don't think it's permissible. I think it's illegal to do such a thing. And the reason I state that is the town council sits as the liquor licensing authority. You are granted that right by statute in the general laws and the regulations through the Department of Business Regulation in their alcohol licensing. The problem with going before a zoning board in order to get a special use permit as a first step to even apply for a liquor license impermissibly delegates your authority as the liquor licensing board to a zoning board. Zoning boards are statutorily created. They only have the powers that they are given by the General Assembly and the Zoning Enabling Act. The Zoning Enabling Act doesn't allow them to have any authority over liquor. Liquor is not a use. It's a beverage choice. It's not a use. You cannot, zoning ordinances regulate uses. And what you're doing by making someone go before the council, or I'm sorry, before the zoning board to get a special use permit, is you're putting a gatekeeper between the board vested with the inherent authority to grant or deny liquor licenses and such that if they can't get it, much as was the case with Monahan's for years and years and years, that is an impermissible delegation of authority, of the liquor licensing authority inherent in the town council. So one of the other real strange things about this type of regulatory scheme, too, is any relief that's granted by the zoning board runs with the land. So by giving a person a special use permit for alcohol service, you're making it a permanent thing that runs with the land that relief is granted in connection with. And that's a totally different thing from the regulatory scheme. As the liquor licensing authority, you have the power to yank back the leash, impose a show cause hearing, you can take immediate action on liquor licenses, you can do any number of things in keeping with your regulatory authority. But a zoning board doesn't have that same sort of thing. There's no initial enforcement like that. There's no immediate power. And a liquor license is a license. It's not a right. It's a privilege that's granted. And you have to observe the rules and regulations that are put forth not by a zoning board, but by the liquor licensing authority, namely the town council. I've had some discussions with council and the town manager. I think that this is an issue that's long since overdue for correcting. And I think you could give this guy a liquor license by law, just coming before you as the liquor licensing authority. I'm sorry I went over. I apologize.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Stanley? Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. We did mention that we are operating under God, and therefore I want to say a prayer, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and I want to ask forgiveness for my inability to be able to make a presentation, an adequate presentation, to help the not-so-rich in this town. I had a tenant, could not pay his $300 rent payment, remainder rent payment. I asked him, why don't you come and speak to the town about your situation? I don't know whether he was afraid or whether he was ashamed. But I'm sure there are many people in that situation in town. We're not all rich, I think. And I tried to speak for them, and I failed, and I want to admit that. I feel that the government, here we have a $14 million surplus, yet I understand that we're still looking at an extra $1 million unnecessarily taken from the taxpayers, which trickles down to everyone in this town. Why do we have to take this last $1 million when we have a couple, $3 million extra? And I haven't been able to fix it. And at this time, all I can do is ask forgiveness that I didn't do a good enough job here, number one. And also, I'll ask forgiveness that that I will not be upset that the government officials did not listen to what I thought was a common sense idea to help those in need in the town. And I want to share that as a prayer, because I feel that's the only thing left to try and have some concern for those who have needs that we might not be aware of and I've spoken to. Thank you very much. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Stanley. Okay, anybody else? Dr. Alba? Al, please state your full name and address.
Yep. Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Okay. On August 12th of last year, the RIDM Acting Director, Terrence Gray, emailed me regarding my request on the updated status of Galilee. The email noted, "We intend to evaluate the responses to the RFP with the intent of finding the highest and best use for the sale." He adds, "I appreciate your passion and input. I can assure you we will be completely open and transparent." Since this email, the communication with Director Gray has been anything but transparent. The RFP process, the selection process for the proposals made absolutely no sense, as the rationale to reject the town of Narragansett proposal was groundless. As our proposal agrees with the Galilee Master Plan Agreement, it is endorsed by our town council, town manager, and town planner, and by the URI research studies for the area, and it met the requirements set forth in the RFP. The town was not even given the courtesy to modify its proposal in order to work with the RIDEM. To add insult to injury, after the proposals were rejected, the town was blindsided when it was notified the RIDM wants to award Proxianti developers a 19-year no-bid parking lot lease. This lease was awarded to Proxianti developers even though the developers violated the terms of the prior lease with the RIDM by abandoning the lighthouse Inn and creating the worst eyesore on state leased land in the history of Rhode Island. In addition, the RIDM announced the state of Rhode Island will have to demolish the building that was neglected by the $10 billion developer. The parking lot lease will allow Proxianti to obtain millions of dollars at the loss of taxpayers of Rhode Island over the 19-year lease. Some have argued, such as Senator Alana DiMario, that the state should not fight it, as there was a clause in the prior lease that stated Proxianti has a right of first refusal. Why would the RIDM put out an announcement for the RFPs if it had to award Proxianti a 19-year parking lot lease? In addition, the prior lease was expired, so since the prior lease was expired, that clause should be null and void as well. The senator added it would be costly to fight Proxianti. Both arguments to me are groundless, as Proxianti violated the terms of its prior lease, and we have plenty of lawyers, including the RIAG's office. We can, as a town, hire our own lawyers as well. It'll be well worth the money. As Dr. Eva Jarowski said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we cannot drop it. Even possibly the FBI can open an informal investigation. Most recently, there was a nomination hearing by the state Senate. In spite of the gross mismanagement by the RIDM director on the 5-acre parcel and the most reckless actions of wanting to award Proxianti a 19-year parking lot lease, only one senator voted to not nominate the RIDM director. I was shocked Representatives Chanzy and McAtee were not in attendance, nor was Senator Bridget Garasi Valverde, to question the director on why the RIDM mismanaged the 5-acre parcel by allowing Proxianti to abandon the Lighthouse Inn, why he is recommending to the State Properties Committee meeting to approve a 19-year parking lot lease to Proxianti developers, and why the state must pay for the demolition. I now urge all elected officials and concerned citizens to attend the State Properties Committee meeting, when it will be addressed, if the lease is valid or not valid.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you. If we do not speak up, unfortunately, Proxianti will be able to obtain this lease, so we all have to act. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Catherine? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I have 3 quick things. I want to thank Mr. Legault for keeping the grass cut at the water tower on Earls Court, and for sending somebody who knows how to use a weed whacker, because last year the ornamental grasses got cut off halfway through, so it's looking real good this year. Thanks. The second thing is, I'm glad that the Narragansetts are going to have free access, but I'm concerned about the imperative that we count the number of passes that we're going to issue to the Narragansetts. I have some spreadsheets here, and from what I can determine, we don't count anybody else who gets free access. We know there's wall jumpers every day, people that park all over town get in the beach for nothing. After 5 o'clock, people come in and park and enter for nothing. I can't even find on this spreadsheet where those 62 and over who actually get a free pass are counted. So I'm concerned about what type of slippery slope we're going down here by counting just the Narragansetts, how many passes. And the question, of course, is to what end would we do that? And I think I'll defer my third thing. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, looks like that's it. So we will go ahead and move to our consent agenda. Are there any items on consent that any council members would like to remove? Nope.
No, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Banano, seconded by Counselor Drzezinski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have number 5, under old business. This is actually an item that we had discussed last meeting. Do we have a motion to remove one individual and appoint one individual to the Galilee Advisory Committee?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I could do a quick introduction to this one, and then if anyone has any questions for Janet, they can ask her as well. Excuse me. Okay, so this is an item that we discussed after a long night 3 weeks ago. And we have a request from the chair of the Gallery Advisory Committee to remove one of their members, Dr. Alba, who's here tonight, due to over 3 consecutive missed meetings. And my understanding from talking to the chair is that it's more than that, and then also that Dr. Alba can't commit to going to any meetings in the near future. But of course, we're going to take public comment, and Al is able to speak on this tonight as well. What we did last meeting was we had a discussion and kind of came to this conclusion during the meeting that the committee itself should vote or decide amongst themselves on what they should do. We heard from a few members of that committee, and they said that they don't feel like that is something they should have to do. They're not willing to do that. And I actually agree with them. The reasons I agree are that we have a policy, a current policy, which is if someone misses 3, and when I say I agree, I'm not saying that I agree that this is a council decision that we should make, whether it's a yes or a no, because this is the process. So we can't just say we're not going to follow this process because we're uncomfortable with it. We're going to have a committee do it. It puts them in a situation where you have committees then voting off their members, which is something that they don't even have the power to do anyway, and we just shouldn't be putting a committee in that position. We appoint the members, which means that if someone needs to be removed, we should be the ones to do that. So it is back to us, and I think that's the right thing. And we can have a discussion on whether we want to vote to remove or not, approve or not approve this motion, but that's the motion before us. So, but we can have discussion.
So we asked the advisory board to look at it, and they brought it back. But, in reviewing the rules, I guess if Al has not been able to attend the 3 meetings, unfortunately, that's the rule. I guess if they can't solve it on that end, then I would agree at this point. When you join a committee, you have to be committed to make those meetings. They can't really kind of change the meeting for you. And so, although this is uncomfortable, I mean, we've had these issues in the past, if you can't make the meetings and you're missing the work and the people can't switch around their schedule, I would agree with that this time. He shouldn't be on the committee, and maybe future he can find a committee that he can attend and be participating in. And so I agree with the motion tonight. I think it makes sense. I know people are waiting, and we need people to be in attendance to contribute to the work, so.
Thank you, Susan. Anyone else? Deb, Eva, Patrick, before we go to our public hearing? You wanna wait? Okay. All right, well,
I
Go ahead,
just wanted
Deb.
to say one thing. I agree with what Susan and Jesse are saying, but I also want to thank Al for all of his hard work with regard to Galilee. And I think that sometimes, you can be a volunteer in different ways. And if you can't, manage to or have no way to be a part of the actual committee, the work that you're doing, speaks for itself. So I appreciate that, and I want to thank you for that. I think this just isn't a good fit.
all right, thank you, Deb. Sorry to do this. We have to go to our public hearing because it is 8 o'clock. Sorry to have kind of cut this in the middle, but we will get right back to this after. So, all set? Okay, great. All right. So it is 8 o'clock. Do we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on a petition from Charles and Helen Donaldson and John and Alice Riordan for the abandonment of a portion of Meadow Lane?
make the motion.
I'll check the date, 1 second. So the date would be, so we have the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and the suggestion is August 15th at 8 PM.
August 15th.
So that'll be our second meeting in August.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? This is just the schedule. Okay. So, anyone from the public interested in speaking? Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so all in favor of August 15th?
Aye.
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 Motion approved 5-0. And then do we have a motion to refer the petition for abandonment portion of Meadow Lane to the planning board for review and recommendation?
I'll make a motion to refer it to the planning board.
Is there a
Second.
Second, okay. And any discussion? Okay, and anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing for an application for the transfer of a Class B victular alcohol beverage license from NRI Ventures LLC, doing business as RI Social, to Ralph Jagschlitz, doing business as The Tavern at Assessor's Plat P, Lot 289-5, 140 Point Judith Road, Suite A-5, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
I'll move the motion. Nice.
Well, second.
I like that.
All right. So this date would be for July 18th at 8 o'clock. So our regular time. Any issues with that? Okay. So this is for scheduling. Any comments from the public? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a motion to open and hold a public hearing on the application of Pelly's Properties LLC, doing business as Pelly's Place, for the permanent expansion of the indoor service area of their Class B victular alcoholic beverage license at Assessor's Plat NH, Lot 171.
No, I think Dan's got it under control.
Good. 171, 909 Boston Neck Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so the public hearing is open, and
Hold on, Charlie. Hold on, Charlie.
so we're gonna, hold on a second, please.
Hold on.
So this is for a expansion of the liquor license to go into, basically expanding over to where the Narragansett's location is. Do we have the applicant here?
There's Tim.
Tim, how are you? Do we have a microphone to bring over? I don't know if it's too high or not, but that'll definitely be easier.
Thank you. That work? Yep.
Tim, thank you. We're going to have the town solicitor swear you in.
Hey, Tim, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Tim Pelletroni, 1 Patterson Court, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So if you don't mind, you could just give us a little info of what you're doing.
So we took over the, like you said, the antique store next door, and we're removing the pool table in my existing space and putting it over there to add one more table and space it out, as we've been dealing with for the past couple of years. We also are putting in a second pool table and a shuffleboard table. There's 2 units that we took over with Narragansett's, and each unit came with a bathroom. I made one fully accessible, and another, a second bathroom is just going to be ladies' room, and the office that was there. Outside that, just tables, TVs for the inside use, and there's going to be a 10-foot opening that connects both units together.
Okay, gotcha. So really, the bar is the same size and everything, right?
Yes, we're not removing the bar or adding on to it. It's just the space that we have. We did nothing other than resurface the walls, the ceiling, and the floors, basically, and new fixtures,
Well, it
which
looks,
have all gone through.
Have you seen it?
yeah, it looks beautiful. Don't say you didn't do anything. It looks great. I mean, it's just
Thank you, Mike.
additional space, but as Jesse said, you just have the bar. That's all going to be for people to sit, to watch TV. It's just
Correct.
extra use in that way.
I
Yeah, you
mean,
did a
yep.
beautiful job. I went down to see it.
Much
Excellent.
appreciated, thank you.
All right, so any questions or thoughts from the council? Nothing? Okay, and the special use permit was granted in April. Okay, great. So why don't we go to the public and see who would like to speak? Yep, go ahead.
Jim,
We'll
I
have-
think he's done with the mic.
All right, we're going to have the town solicitor swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Charles Tabaldi, 908 Boston Neck Road, Unit 40, also known as Sea Pines Condominiums. As you can see, we're directly across the street from Pelly's. The only concern we have, I represent 52 people who live there as residents. And do they have a live entertainment license? And do they require one with this expansion? Those are two different questions.
Okay, I don't see any addition of that. Is that something that's already in?
They do not have an entertainment.
Do not.
They do not.
Okay.
Okay, then the next concern I have is sometimes on the weekends, they go to the outside expansion due to the COVID, and they play music live from like 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5. And I have requested Timmy that if they could turn the speakers towards the building instead of towards the outside, we won't be able to hear it. But we can hear it just like we're sitting in front of them. We're about 400 feet away from them, the buildings to where they are, maybe 500. But, and that's the request we have. We have a lot of older people, and Sunday means a great thing to them in the afternoon for them, relaxation and quiet. So if they don't have an outside entertainment license, I don't know how they've been doing it, but that's another issue. But I asked them not to do it anymore, okay? And, Timmy? Yep, all right.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Stanley?
On Sunday.
Please have James swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I'd like to talk in support of this activity because anything, it seems to help the citizens of Narragansett to have a little more space over there. And I drive by there more than 2 or 3 times a day and sometime late at night, and I haven't seen any drunks yelling and screaming. And that's kind of special. You know, you figure you might see that. So obviously, he's doing a good job of policing the area. You don't have the crazy people out there causing extreme issues. I can understand maybe there's a noise issue, but for what I've seen, it looks pretty calm. So I'd like to support him in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Anybody else from the public? Okay, looks like that's it. Any other questions for the applicant?
Nope, I was going to make a motion to close it.
Okay. Do we have, sorry. So we don't have a motion to approve, though. We're just holding, right? Janet? We just have the motion to hold it.
Can we make a motion to approve or not?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Based on the public hearing, you're having that already. If you approve what's requested with the conditions as noted in the staff report, I think you can move forward tonight.
Okay?
I'll make that motion.
We'll do it while it's open.
No, you need to close the public.
Close it first, right? All right, do we have a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing?
make the motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the expansion of Pelly's.
Second.
Well, wait, I want the correct language. Is that sufficient?
Right, motion to approve as read by the president, plus if you do agree with the condition that once final inspection has been issued, project should be considered complete. Any future building permit application does not otherwise require zoning relief shall not be required to seek amendment to this condition. That's what's in the staff report from the zoning board.
I'll move that.
Second.
Do you have that? Janet, do you have that?
Janet, do you have that?
Do you have that information? Okay.
Okay, so the motion is in line with the staff reports.
Correct.
Wording, right. So that's the motion that we're making.
Yeah.
To approve the expansion in line with the staff report wording. That Susan made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Did Tim have discussion?
We don't have to take discussion because the public hearing's closed. I mean,
Okay.
we offered.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion approved 5-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
So we're gonna go ahead and, so we're closed, so all set with the public hearings, and we will go back to our regular agenda, number 5. So we have commentary from Susan and from Deb. Any thoughts, or do you want to hear from Dr. Alba?
Yeah.
If he wants. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, we'll come back to the council for comment. Anyone from the public interested in speaking? Dr. Alba?
Well, Stan, I'm going to say a prayer too. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen.
Yeah.
We're both Catholics. Father Tyone and Monsignor Halloran are watching over us. With Pentecost Sunday, the Holy Spirit, may he watch down upon me as I do my last
say his name.
That I feel I'm being ousted.
Al,
With the honesty, okay.
Al, please state your full
Right,
name and
okay.
address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett,
Okay,
Rhode Island.
go ahead.
When I put in my application to serve on the committee, I noted my work hours. I was unanimously appointed by the council for my advocacy for Galilee. I know it was not your intention to set me up for failure by putting me on a committee that had meetings that conflicted with my work schedule, so I felt I may be able to review the agenda, provide feedback to the committee, and show up on occasion. This school year, I was unable to accommodate my work schedule, but next year I told the chairperson I would be able to attend every other meeting. And on the meetings which I could not attend, I would provide input on the agenda. I feel almost everyone in Narragansett knew my position and my sincerity in bettering Galilee prior to my appointment. Therefore, when I was appointed, I was not going to slow down on my passion and drive to fight what is best for Galilee. Upon being appointed to the Galilee Advisory Committee, I continue to advocate for Galilee. I wrote a letter to the papers regarding my support for the town of Narragansett's proposal. I also sent it out to members of the Galilee Advisory Committee to see if any members would want me to add their names to the letter to show their support. The chairperson, Kevin Koskow, called me up, and he was upset with me on my advocacy for the town of Narragansett's proposal. As I noted, I was on the Galilee Advisory Committee. In addition, one of the longtime Galilee Advisory Committee members, Javi Cataldo, who I have his email sent to me right here, replied back to me. And the editor of the paper I wrote the letter to. And he said, do not write Dr. Alba's letter. It is not a reflection of the members of the Galilee. In the email he sent to me, we do not need parks, hotels, museums down here. Your petition should give full disclosure of what's at stake. He included in the email, I am against any proposal that does not give preference to the fishing industry. Galilee is a commercial fishing port year-round, not a tourist playground 2 or 3 months out of the year, quote unquote. How ironic. We have a Galilee Advisory Committee whose mission is to help Galilee become a vibrant area to attract people to go to the area year-round, as noted in the Galilee Advisory Master Plan Agreement that was endorsed by our liaison to that committee, Dr. Eva Jaworski, and the Narragansett Town Council and Town Manager, and we have a chairperson and a member of the committee that appear to work against the bettering of Galilee and the town of Narragansett. I was basically told, you are already causing problems on this committee, and you just joined, and we're going to contact President Pugh and Susan to have you taken off. I also found it interesting that whenever advocated for the town council's proposal at the Galilee Advisory Committee meeting that I did attend, Chairperson Kevin Koskow and Mr. Javi Cataldo did not send her an email. did not question her on their feelings against her advocacy. I felt if the town council liaison to the Gallery Advisory Committee supports the town of Narragansett's proposal and is supported by our town manager, our town planner, our town council, and then the members of the Gallery Advisory Committee would show their support with me, but I was wrong. Do we have Benedict Arnolds to be on the Gallery Advisory Committee that are working against the town?
Al.
What I need to say is this. I would like to also add, I did attend one of the meetings, and at the meeting, Janice Holly came up with a great suggestion for us to continue with the beautification and signage of the area of Galilee. It was an outstanding suggestion. I mentioned I knew a licensed landscape architect who was also a teacher.
Al.
Professor, wait 1 second, please. Please. You talked about respect in the beginning of this meeting, so please respect me and hear me out. You're taking me off of this committee, and I want the world and everyone in Narragansett to hear why. So please give me the respect that what you want to afford that you told me
We're just trying to be consistent with the time. It's
okay,
like 4.5 minutes.
This is important. This is very important.
I'll give you 20
This
seconds.
is precedent setting.
Al.
This is precedent setting. Thank you.
Al.
Okay? So
We're
I know
gonna-
that Charles Carberry would be willing to donate his time to help out with the landscape architecture for the beautification of Galilee. It was recorded in the minutes. I reached out to Chuck, and I found out Kevin did not reach out to him. In any event, I sent an email to Kevin as a reminder, yet Kevin never followed through. It's deeply troubling that you have a chairperson that fails to act on suggestions to improve Galilee. In addition, he chastised me for writing a letter in support of the town of Narragansett's plan. I would also like you to know that there is another member on the committee who missed more than 3 meetings. And when I asked Kevin why is he not being ousted, he told me the reason being it's personal issues. Well, why aren't we not all treated equally? Why am I being singled out? For someone who has advocated and stood up here on behalf of the town of Narragansett and Galilee, and yet they're trying to oust me. And all of you received that email. So shame on each of you for not saying that there was another person out there who's on still the committee, and how come none of you are saying what's good for Al has to be good for everyone? Why is this other member on the committee still standing? Can you ask that question?
All right, thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else from the public that's interested in speaking? Stanley? Sorry, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. In today's world with Zoom and all kinds of facilities available, it seems that he could be aware and participate without physically having to be at that station every meeting, I would think. Well, and it's obvious that he's well-informed, number one, and number two, he gets an opinion out there and causes some discussion. That's what we want. We want some discussion. We want some odd opinion, different opinion, discussion. Now, this is the first time I've heard somebody from the Galilee Advisory Committee out here really, a Procaccianti thing, whatever. You know, he's really out there probably accomplishing a lot more than others that I've seen on or heard about on a committee. I don't know. But I know in the past, what happens is a lot of times the super active person develops some ideas and somebody doesn't like it, so they got to boot them out. That happens in every situation. You boot out this guy that's the wild guy I don't agree with or whatever. However, I want to hear the diverse opinion. I want to hear the other side of the fence. I want to hear it. And I'd rather have him in here giving me the other side of the opinions. I'd like to have him stay there and accommodate him either through Zoom, through anything else we can come up with, so he can be aware of what's happening in the meetings, he can follow through, and he's better at writing probably than he is talking, obviously. So let him talk. Let him write back and comment on everything that happens at the meeting. So let him give his doggone dissertation on every meeting, and that could be just as valuable as him having to sit there and maybe argue with the people who are there. I think in writing is probably more important and more, it accomplishes something a lot more than talking sometime, and he's pretty good at that. So I'd like you to reconsider this at this time. I understand you're breaking the rules, but I think for the towns, to help the town do something, I think we can stretch the rules a little bit in this particular case, saying that he is informed and will be informed and will listen to all the meetings on any Zoom or anything else, so he'll be aware of what happens all the time. As long as he agrees to do that, you don't have to physically have his body there, maybe. We can make a special issue here, especially because the new world today.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you.
All right, Catherine. Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. First, is Mr. Costco here? Is he going to speak? And second, it's a committee of adults. I don't understand why they just couldn't have sat down and taken a vote. What they did was throw it back at you again. And I just don't think that's right. You appoint people. They're supposed to make decisions about, tough things and easy things also. And again, to me, the process wasn't followed correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay. So why don't we, all right, so that's it from the public. So we still have some thoughts, I think, from the council side. Eva or Patrick, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll speak. So, Dr. Alba, I really do appreciate your advocacy. I know you've been very passionate about this, and you've definitely done a great job bringing this to light, making sure that everybody hears about Galilee. And I know initially when, the committee, because I do sit on the Galilee Advisory Committee, I know that when we did put the proposal out, it's not so much that they don't approve of it, or they were just not, that wasn't within their skill sets to determine what the best proposal was. And I think the feedback I got was not that they were opposing the town's proposal, was that we put them in a position where, they were having to they didn't have the economic development background, they didn't, have the planning background, and they were just used to being part of just doing the beautification process for Galilee, making sure that the flower baskets were, and I think they were kind of caught off guard when I started presenting, just the plan. And I know that they want what's best for Galilee, just like as you and I do. And as somebody who's on the council, I don't need to be on the council to advocate for Galilee, just like somebody does not need to be on the Galilee Advisory Committee to advocate for Galilee. And I know you weren't at the last meeting when we were discussing this. When I got elected to the town council, there was a committee that I was very passionate about and that I really wanted to stay on. But because I was on the council, I wasn't able to make those meetings, and I wasn't going to be able to be an active participant in that. And I, like you, just said, oh, can you change the time and date for me? And then I was told by the chair that, and I understood after he said, well, why should we accommodate this one person and change the schedule of everyone else who, we had determined a time for it. So that's kind of what happened with me, and unfortunately, I realized that, yes, the committee meets at a certain time, it's a standing committee, it's a standing time and date, and that they weren't going to make any special considerations for me. And that kind of opened my eyes to the whole thing about just being able to be available on those dates. And I know you do have a conflict with the time and the date, and I know you had requested that they also change the time, and I don't, as a committee, I don't believe that we're willing to do that. And I know you did try to make accommodations to them, saying that you would be able to meet for the summer, and they do, I've been on the committee last year, and they don't meet in the summer. So I know this is kind of, you want to be part of this, and you can always be part of it. We can all be part of helping shape what goes into Galilee by advocating, by speaking up. It doesn't mean that you have to be on the committee to make this happen, just as I don't have to be on the town council to help make what we want to see there happen. We just have to be a voice in whatever way we can, and you've been a great voice. You really have. You've been vocal. You've written articles. You've done your petitions. So again, I think, you've been great in that role. And, it is kind of awkward to just say that somebody who really is passionate and wants to serve on something that they can't. But in the end, it's only because the meetings can't be attended at a certain date and time. And we are not doing hybrid models, just like we don't do hybrid for council. It was determined, even the other meetings, that like all the other committee meetings are not, hybrid. And that's just how the town is doing things. And I know we all decided that, it's either in person or online or virtual through Zoom, but it's not both. It is. Yeah. So, I feel your pain. I know, I hope you're not offended because we do want you to be part of the solution for Galilee, but it's nothing personal. It really isn't.
Al, we gotta just stay in procedure here.
Yeah, so those are my comments and my thoughts. And I did want to speak to my personal experience because, like you, I was very passionate about this committee that I was on, and I wasn't able to continue because of the conflict. And unfortunately, there's only so much time in a day, and sometimes you're double booked and you can't be at two places at once. And I'm starting to learn that, and as I serve on the committee, on the council, and various committees, that sometimes you can't do everything. So those are my comments.
Thanks, Eva. Patrick?
Okay. All right, well, this council is charged with appointing and committee members, and we also have the duty to remove committee members if asked or needed. Certainly, it seems to me that the direction of the Galilee Advisory Board is not consistent with Mr. Albert's, proclashante and the hotel issue. I think in a couple, when your schedule changes, I think reapply for this committee, because I will support you being removed from the committee temporarily. And then when your schedule changes where you can attend more of these meetings consistently, then I think, I think that might be the decision that would solve things here, so, tonight. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Patrick. I just want to mention, I know Catherine had brought it up. Mr. Costco is in London traveling back to the U.S. tonight, I think, or tomorrow morning or something like that. So that, I don't know if he'd be here anyway, but I could tell you that he's not in the country. Yeah, I mean, this is, I know, Al, it's probably not what you want to hear, but if you just take, like, we have to take a detached perspective on this. It has nothing to do with you or your stances or anything like that. It's just pure and simple. If you're on a committee, you have to go to the meetings, sometimes at least. And that's it. That's it. That's like basically the whole thing. If any of us had got elected and it was not available on Monday nights and couldn't come to the meetings, we would have to resign. You can't just continue to, we couldn't continue to do that if you can't go to the meetings. So that's kind of, it's very black and white, I think. And even if you said, well, from now on, you're going to be able to make the meetings, I think that would be a different situation where we would consider that, maybe it was a tough 6 months, but now your schedule is better and you can do it. But my understanding is that you're not able to make any of them in the near future. Excuse me? Next school year. So that's like basically like a full first year, though, of not being at the meetings. So, Al, I'm just, all right. I think you can look at this kind of similar to the library situation over the last few years. You know, the last term we had, this town hall was packed with people that supported the library, came to every meeting. Really, it was kind of like a smaller movement in town of people that were supporting. And none of those, you know, those people were not on the library board. Those were people that lived in town and were supporting something and were able to get things done without being on that board. And I think for you, it's the same thing. You don't have to be on the Gallery Advisory Committee to support the Lighthouse Inn project. So that's kind of the way I look at it. But again, it's just a straightforward thing. Nothing to do with you at all. It could be anybody in your position who hasn't been making the meetings. All right. Any other discussion?
No, I just want to thank you too, Al, for your advocacy and all that you've done in Galilee. And as Jesse said, it's nothing personal. It's all about the rules. And since the group couldn't work it out, it's our duty and responsibility to try to solve it because obviously people need to attend and participate. So, but you've done great work and thank you, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts? Okay, we're going to go ahead and take the vote. So this is, there are two actions in this motion. The first is for a removal, and then we have a second one if Dr. Alba is removed to appoint. So do we have a motion to remove Al Alba from the Gallery Advisory Committee?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion approved 5-0. Next, we have a motion to appoint one individual to the Gallery Advisory Committee. Do we have a nomination? And I can, if no one does, do it. I can
don't have
throw out
one.
a few
I think
names.
there's just limited.
It's limited, yeah.
I'd like to nominate Gina Gerama.
Well,
Well,
actually,
she's on
we
the,
were- yeah, so there's only two names that are available, Douglas McLaughlin and Patrick Rogers, and if we wanted to stick to just having somebody that's a resident that lives here, though, that would mean that would be Douglas
Gina's a
McLaughlin.
resident, she's just on
No,
another
she's on
committee.
other, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's listed who's on. So Richard Campbell is one of the applicants, and he's on the Historic Commission. Gina Gerama is on the Rec Advisory Board. There's Douglas McLaughlin and Patrick Rogers.
Yep. And Patrick Rogers is a part-time.
And he's Rumford.
Right, yeah. So, all right, so do you want to nominate Doug McLaughlin?
Yeah, so I'd like to nominate Douglas McLaughlin.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Anyone from the public? Yep, Dr. Alba? So this is for the nomination of Doug McLaughlin. Please state your full name
Oh,
and
I
address.
apologize. Yes, I don't know this individual, but I do know Richard, who was one of the gentlemen who was Mr. Campbell. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's on another committee, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know him. I spoke of him. He's got a passion for Galilee. Like I said, I just feel we need to have people who have the compassion, who are on track with the town council, the town manager, the town planner. And I know Richard is right on target. He's very knowledgeable. He's got a vast amount of resources. So I just wanted to share that with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think in the past, we've said we were going to just speak about the applicant. So just to, Douglas McLaughlin has a long history of public service, both in local and state government. He's a retired police officer. He was a supervisor of investigations for the Department of Human Services, and you know, he, in his background, he stated he holds degrees from Bryant University and Roger Williams University, and his statement of interest stated that he had served on the Harbor Commission for 10 years, and he has an interest in serving his community. And so, and then the Galilee Advisory Committee was one that he expressed interest in this past year.
Previous
Okay.
town council member.
Yep.
That might be a negative, but
Any other comments from the public? All right, so all in favor of the nomination of Doug McLaughlin?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion approved 5-0. Number 6, for Parks and Rec is a motion to award the bid for the rental of tents for Canachet North Beach Clubhouse and Kinney Bungalow to the sole bidder, Pranzi Tents and Events, at their quoted bid prices for a 2-year period ending May 29th, 2024. Is there a
I'll move
motion?
the motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 7, from Community Development, is a motion to approve and adopt the proposed Community Choice Aggregation, CCA Program Plan, in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 3931.2, and authorize submittal to the Public Utilities Commission for approval. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second? Okay, so we've gone through, this is part of the process. We're getting there. We still have a lot of discussion, I think. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Susan, you want to start?
Yeah, just want to talk about the opt-in or opt-out situation that we had talked about the last time. I mean, have we made any changes on that, Mike? Have there been any changes as far as, so it's as it stands? Because that was something that I think people were concerned about tracking, but so I was concerned about that.
So either of us can.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, just that specific thing. So that's been brought up a few times, and my understanding, which I think is the reality, is that this sort of program isn't viable if it defaults to an opt-in, because the only way it works is by getting the volume, right? And they know by now, these things have been around for a while, that if you do opt-in, you're not going to get the volume. So it's if you want opt-in, you basically would have to just not do the program.
Right.
So.
That was the only concern I had.
Yeah, and then Jamie had done that presentation where he explained that initially, but it's been a while, a long time ago, and then he was clear with, just as Jesse explained that, it needs to be that when they go bid on it, they need to know that there's a commitment. And again, there will be, communications in the campaign to alert the residents of what this program is and to opt in or opt out.
Could I say something?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in reference to what Eva was talking about with regard to communications, one of the things that I think we're going to do, there'll be different kinds of communications. There'll be phone calls, there'll be documents mailed to you, but I think we're also going to have, a significant in-person program so that people could truly understand what they're doing and make their decisions even at that time. So, some people might not even know what we're talking about when it comes to opt-in or opt-out, and what it is a plan that initially a person's going to be placed into the default plan, which is not the current plan, it's the next level up. So, but you can go back to the current plan if that's what you want to do. By the time we get this done, we're going to be, I'm sure, into late fall. That'd be about right, Mike, even later. And one of the things that we're all going to see is a change to our electric bills, because there's, the PUC is going to approve an increase based on the cost of fossil fuels. And I think one of the kind of useful things will be that we'll have an opportunity then to see exactly what will happen to our electric bills with or without some level of the aggregation plan. So, I would caution people to, to think about how their concern of opt-in or opt-out with those things in mind as well, and also the fact that we are going to try to meet with people in person to make it clear what each of these things are, to tell them what we hope will be the best, solution. I don't have a crystal ball, but you can stay, if you're worried about it, you can stay in the plan that you're in. You just have to say that's the one you want. And then in the future, if you find that you maybe didn't choose wisely, that you can switch over to one of the other 3 plans that are available. So I think this is very different from some methodologies that were used in the past. It gets better and better all the time, and actually renewable energy gets better and better all the time and less expensive. So I think we need to make sure that we do our homework and understand what this is about, and you'll be starting to get information. Just don't throw it out, when you get it, okay?
All right, thank you, Deb. Patrick.
Okay. as many of you may or may not know, National Grid sold their outfit to PPL. They're out of Pennsylvania. And the first order of business, I'm sure, they're going to go in front of the PUC, and rates are going to double. I don't care who owns the electric power in Rhode Island. Rates are doubling. And I think there's going to be a major backlash over this opt-in, opt-out, because somebody down the road in October or November, they're going to look at their bill, it's going to double, and their question is going to be, did I opt in or did I opt out? And I think that's going to generate a lot of confusion for people. Now, the way I understand it, there's 3 basic levels of service. Maybe you can help me with this. I can. All right. When this company PPL is the provider. When this kicks in, this service, everybody's opted in. And you're at the second level, which is, correct?
Essentially. If the first level is what they currently have.
Right. The second level is more environmentally friendly than the current level we are in now.
10% more,
Right,
precisely.
10%.
We already have
addition-
20% now, and
Right.
it'll go to 10, it'll go to 30.
Go to how much?
30. It'll go from 20 to 30. So
20 to
10% more.
Right. Right now, we have
20,
10%.
20.
National Grid's 20 or 10?
I believe it's 20.
20. See, I'm confused. See?
See that?
All right. So
That's why I'm here,
the
Patrick.
basic level would be 20% environmental electricity you're receiving once you opt out.
Right. It's
Okay.
it stays the
When
same
you
as it
opt
is
in,
now.
30% of your bill is environmentally friendly.
Right.
And then there's a third level. What's the percentage on that one?
50.
50% is environmentally friendly. So
And then there's a fourth level.
basically, break out the wood stove, because you're going to need it, okay?
Well, I have a solution to that, but
well-
there's one more level. It's 100%.
100%, okay. So that's heading
100%.
south? You got to move down to the south there, I guess?
I don't pay my electric bill. I have solar panels.
Anyway, I think there's going to be a lot of confusion come late fall when the PUC gets through with us. And
I think the PUC is going to beat us to this, though. So
Well,
they'll
they're
see
gonna-
people will see what their bills are before we do this, I think.
I don't care who the provider is, rates are doubling. They can't,
Yeah, I
they can't
agree.
afford the fuel. The fuel is out of control, and it's because we're
Fossil
not
fuels out of control.
supporting domestic energy. So I think in the future, you have any questions? Do we have a hotline, or do we have?
Not yet.
Mike, is there a hotline, or maybe we should post somewhere? Okay.
Yeah, it's not ready
All
yet.
right, so there will be a hotline to
We have
explain
to
it.
agree to do this
Certainly
first.
better than I can, but,
Okay.
Good job, Patrick.
All right. So a few things. We put this on because this is something that we can approve tonight if we want to. I also know there was a lot of questions from the public when we had our public hearing on this. We went through the PowerPoints. You have questions tonight as well. If the council's not comfortable at this time, this can be continued and done in 2 weeks as well. I just want to say that. I'm not saying one way or another, but we need to be comfortable when we vote on this and make sure we have all the information. The other thing, the way I look at this is that as a council member, we should be always looking to provide the best services to the residents and at a lower cost if we could do that. So if you listen to the presentations, I know, Deb, you look at this a lot of it from the environmental side, right? And I do too, however, not everybody does. So we also, what we've been told multiple times during the presentations is that this will come in lower than what residents currently pay. So if we have an ability to,
Theoretical.
well, but based on history as well, theoretical, but also in practice, in reality, that's what has happened. If we have the ability to help provide a service that's less expensive, what's better? Less expensive or more expensive? Like less, I think, is better. Stanley? I might need Stanley for that one. But if we think something's going to be less expensive, then that's what we should default to. And you're defaulting to something that's less expensive. You're always going to have hesitancy when there's a change. So it doesn't matter what the change is. Some people will always be hesitant. We're even hesitant to vote on it. But I think it's better.
But the problem is, if you're under this plan, you're opted in. So you're 10% higher than the current rate you're paying now.
You can immediately opt out.
But we're buying electricity as a group, as volume.
Right.
So that should give us better buying power once the bid is set forth. Because you put it out the market, and several electricity providers going through PPL, and then cramming it down to us. So, I think it's hard to know. I mean, it's all about timing. It's all about market.
Right.
And I think, what is it? He said the minimum is a 6-month contract?
Yeah, but they can go to 1 year.
They
They
can go
can
to 1
actually
year,
do
yeah.
sort of, futures. They
Right
can-
now, I think we're 9 cents. So if you get a $150 electric bill, it's probably going to double. It's probably going to be 18, 20 cents a kilowatt by Christmas. Merry Christmas. Have to turn those lights off of that tree.
Right, but that's happening either way.
I know that. I know that. I know that. But the issue is, there's so many variables. I think there's advantage of buying in bulk like we're doing, okay? But when you're opting in, it's the only way they can do it because they need the volume to purchase it initially. Then you opt out. So that's what we're up against.
So can I say two things? One is that Patrick's absolutely right, and which is weird coming out of my mouth, but he is absolutely right, which is why, one of the things that I'm advocating for is to ensure that we have, sort of face-to-face meetings so that people can not just understand this, but they can make their choices with somebody who can help explain, what those choices mean. So that's one thing. The other thing that was confusing to people the last couple of times we've had these meetings was what happens to the service that they get. And in other words, if there's a power outage, who do we call? If there's if there's an issue, who do we call? And the answer is, it's the front-facing organization is going to be either National Grid or PPL. It's going to be PPL going forward.
But I think they changed the name to
Yeah, it says
National,
something.
Rhode Island Energy?
Yeah, I think that's right. And
Rhode
Rhode
Island
Island
Energy,
Energy.
so-
So they are the front-facing organization. They're the people that you call when you have a problem, when there's something wrong. They're the people who are going to provide us with outage information. They're the people who are going to provide trucks from all over the country or wherever they can get them to, fix power lines. That has absolutely nothing to do with this. Okay, so that's one, and your bill will look however PP&L does their bill, which I actually was a PP&L customer once in my life, and it's not that dissimilar to what National Grid looks like. And so, in that respect, everything stays, I don't want to say it stays the same because it's PP&L, but the fact of the matter is everything stays the same in terms of the front-facing organization. It's just how we get our energy that changes. So that's one thing I just want to make 100% clear, and I think we'll make that clear over and over and over again because I know it confuses people.
Okay, thank you, Deb. All right, let's see if there's anyone from the public. Catherine? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. My only concern is giving people the ability to opt out if they want to. And I know there's going to be meetings and all of that, but the main way is going to be a mailing. And what this person said last time was the card was going to say resident with the address, which is absolutely not going to work. But there's a simple solution. The tax collectors list is public knowledge. And if he would commit to using that list to send out these little cards, they'll arrive where they're supposed to arrive, as opposed to a renter, to, if I'm in Florida, they don't forward a postcard. So I don't understand why you just can't use that list to do this mail notification. The rest of it, those 15 pages of it, I didn't get through it. I'm not sure if we're going to save money or not at this point, but I'm just, want to make sure that people get that notification so that they can opt out immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley?
there was a bill I saw for one of my places. It was like.
You state your full name and address?
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Road.
Thanks.
I've seen a $1,000 electric bill. You know, so now we're going to see a $2,000 electric bill, I guess. And I understand green is fun, green is great, green is great. And of course, I call upon the richest people to help us with that, you know? But you have to be careful that, I'm certainly gonna have to raise the rent on these people as they plug in their electric heater, I guess, you know, to try and get some heat air out of the electricity, $2,000 bill. So I guess the question really is, do I get a monthly notice on what their rate is so I can opt in? So I'll opt out, I guess, but I'll watch their rate. Do I get a monthly notice, or can I get a monthly notice of opting in because the rate's nice and low? The rate's low, I want to opt in. Will that happen?
I doubt it, but I'm sure there's some way that we can, I don't know, even in a town council meeting, you know, present where it stands.
Right,
you know,
yeah, we could give an
any
update at
given
the town
moment.
council
Yeah,
level.
Yeah,
Updated idea, what the bill, what the
yeah, I
what the
mean,
rate
or we could
is.
put it on the website, we could put it on the town website.
Yeah, on the website, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. As long as I have notice, so, yeah, I want to go in because I noticed we got a 10% deduct here, I want to go in. But like you say, I have to stay in for 6 months? Once I do
No,
opt in?
you can opt in and out however
So I
often
can go
you
in and
want.
out anytime?
Yep.
So I can watch the rates and go in and out at time? So that sounds good.
Yeah.
I can go in and out within a month. Within a
Stanley,
month, I can go in
You're gonna
within a
kill
month
us.
and come
I don't
out within a
know.
month.
Stanley, if you opt out, you're in the lowest rate that they're providing.
Well, that's what I'll probably start there. I'm going to start there for sure.
Well, you're going to be
If
opted
that's
in.
the lowest rate.
But initially, you'll be opted in, okay?
Then you
And you'll
just
be
have-
at the second tier.
I know.
You have to call them up and say, hey, get me off of this thing, I want to opt out. And then you'll be at the lower tier, which is 10% lower, because it's 10% less environmentally friendly.
Well, I could see it, you know, the people I'm
Correct.
dealing with.
I don't know if
They don't
that's-
have the money to pay for
I
the
think
green.
you're with PPS, you're with the National Grid equivalent if you opt out. You're not with Good Energy at all.
Yeah, well, no, it's
No,
the
no.
same company, it's just a different option.
Yeah, but it's.
If you opt out, you get the current plan,
The current one.
which the current plan right now includes 20% renewable energy. That's what you have right now. If you don't do that, if you automatically be opted in, if you automatically opted in, you go to 30% renewable energy, which may or may not be cheaper than what you pay now. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know which it's going to be. I could tell you what I guess, but I'm not going to.
I got a good idea.
That's how
From my
that
perspective,
works.
I guess I'm gonna stay with the lowest cost item, because
Well,
I'm dealing with the
you won't-
people who can least expect the green hit right now. Maybe someday they can.
Right.
And I'll give them notice.
that
If
might
they want
not
their
be-
rent to go up another $20, we can opt in. Yeah.
The point is that if you opt out, you may or may not be paying the least amount. There's no way to know that right now.
As long as there's some notice, so I can figure out where I
All right,
stand
well,
and
we
what
can,
to
that's
do.
something for us to consider, how to make people aware of where it stands. Because, you know, you make a good point. If people are a little bit scared or nervous about, you know, about being part of the plan at a more rigorous rate, and they opt out, if we provide them with the information that gives them the chance to change, you know, and the more people who do that, the better our rates become whenever we're renegotiating the costs. And I don't know why I'm saying we, because I have nothing to do with it, but that's, you know, that will be helpful to you. So.
Well, you know,
Thank you,
think
Stanley.
your
drawing an
time's up there.
analogy, and all of a sudden we're green and our gas prices are double. And also now,
They're
I don't
Yeah,
want,
I-
all right, all
They're
right,
gonna
all right.
double anyway. They're doubling
Stanley,
anyway.
thank you.
I don't want to go to
car,
green
yeah.
too
Stanley.
fast. Anyone, be careful. Thank you.
I actually,
It's too late.
if you don't mind, Mike, do you mind coming up? I just want to make sure everyone is clear on this. We have a lot of different things being said, so let's make sure we get this correct. Thank you.
Which question should I answer?
Sure. So I'd like for all of us to know just the very basic mechanics of the opt-in and opt-out.
Yep.
So what happens to a customer who decides they want to opt out of this?
Yep.
They go back to the standard,
Right.
the standard rate, whether it's National Grid or PPL, whomever. They just go back to what they had before, what they have right now.
And they have nothing to do with Good Energy in any way at that point, right?
No, Good Energy is a manager.
Right.
They're working for the town to manage the program that the town would be initiating.
National Grid changed.
So they don't, they wouldn't be, I mean, Good Energy would be sending out the initial card that you had talked
Right.
about.
But if you opt out,
Yeah.
it's just nothing to do with them. You just stick it with National Grid or PPL, whatever the company name is.
Correct.
You're not in this new plan in any way if you opt out. Right, you're out.
And then if you're with National Grid, that may be higher than the 10% higher rate that's being provided by Good Energy, correct?
Could you repeat that?
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
I don't.
When
I
you're
don't
opted
understand.
in, when you're opted in, right,
Yeah.
30% is environmentally friendly of the electricity, correct?
20.
Okay.
No, the
So,
default is 20.
The default is 20. So if you're at the default with PPL or National Grid, which is currently National Grid, that rate could be higher than the 30% environmentally friendly.
Well, when Mr. Rhodes was here.
Because he's going out to bid as a group, correct?
When Mr. Rhodes was here, he explained that
Right.
in his presentation. That currently, the National Grid has a requirement to provide 10% of the electricity through renewable
I thought it
resources.
was 20%.
No, it's 10.
This is
Hold
why I'm
on,
not
I'm gonna
supporting
check.
this. This is why I'm not supporting this, all right?
No, well, if, give me a moment. It's right here in the plan. You have the plan in your packets, page 5.
Yeah.
It says the products may vary based on the amount of renewable electricity in the form of RECs. That's a measurement.
Right.
So it could be the same amount of the RECs required by the state, or the RECs in the amount of 10% greater than the renewable energy standard. So the renewable energy standard, as far as I know right now, was 10%.
Okay.
So if you were
If you're opted
automatically in,
We're all opted in.
We're all
And that
in.
would be 30% or 20%?
20.
20, okay.
So it'd be 10% more than the
Right.
existing.
And then the top tier would be 50.
No, you can go all the way to 100%, but
Oh, you
that's
mean
an
you
option.
can keep going up?
You can go up
Right.
to 50% or 100% of renewable energy, yes.
Right.
That's your
What-
choice. You'll have a card to fill out, you'll have a box to check.
Do
There'll
they
be
have a rate, are they going to provide a rate schedule? Like if you're, at level 2, you're 18 cents per kilowatt? And
They'll be
at
able-
150%, you're at freaking $5 a kilowatt? Or-
They'll be able to tell you that once the bid.
Is this like a gasoline pump?
They'll be able to tell you that once the bid has been chosen.
Right.
So they have to
know
put it out to bid.
Right.
And then, and you will see the bid. If you don't like the price, you can negate it, and this whole thing goes away.
Right.
So one of the things I wanted to point out is that if you look at the summary sheet that you have in the packet, the second page indicates that there are several more steps to do. Tonight would be approving the plan, or maybe next week, 2 weeks. Then the next thing is to solicit bids for the electricity supply.
Right.
And then the town has to approve the bid. At that point, you'll know the rate. So if you don't like the bid, you can throw it out.
Right.
So this isn't the end of it all. The council has at least 2 more times to look at this.
But the bidding process, that timetable is pretty strict, right?
Well,
I mean, you can't just, let it launder out there.
Summer 2022.
Yeah, there's a period of time that they put the bid out, they set a deadline, the bids have to come back in. It's like any other normal RFP process. The town will dictate how long it takes, how long we're willing to wait for bids to come in. When that deadline occurs, we open the bids. That's a standard process that we use.
Okay.
And then if the bids are great, great. If they're not so good, the council could say, we're throwing them all out, and we're sticking with standard National Grid PPL.
So at minimum, every 6 months? A future town council would have to go over the schedule of rates for.
If the bid is really good, you may want to lock in for a year, 2 years, whatever. If the bid's not so good.
If you can, just because they have a good rate, you can't lock in for 2 years. It's a minimum, it's up to the.
You have the
bidder,
choice.
the provider, right?
Correct.
That's variable.
You have the choice of what period of time
Right.
you want. And you can even ask for a 6-month bid, a 1-year bid, a 2-year bid, and you get all these different numbers. You can choose whichever works best for the
Right,
town,
okay.
or you can choose
Not
nothing
to bid.
and throw the whole thing away.
Good.
Right.
Well, basically.
I mean, are we clear with this?
I get it, but so basically the future, this council or a future council is going to be the gatekeeper of, well, National Grid rates.
Well, you're gonna,
in
and if it's
perpetuity.
cheap, if it's less expensive,
Right.
then you're gonna take it.
So this was we started this May, so it's great that this is outlined in here. So we actually started this May of 27th of 2021, and we knew when Jamie was here to present it, that it was going to be a long timetable, and there's like certain milestones that we have to do to get to the end product. And there's nothing's binding in this. We just need to keep on moving the process along to get to the end point of where we find out the rate, and it goes into a bidding process. So this isn't saying, being all final and done. It's just we're keeping to our timeline and making this moving the ball forward as per the process that was described and outlined, like way back when. So that's all we're doing today.
Right. And I'd like to just add a couple points. One is that, as Mr. Rhodes said, he will be handling the public relations part of this. When and if this council chooses a bid, you get a great bid, the rate is really low, and you decide, let's lock that in, then and only then will all these other things happen. But one of the first things that will happen will be the public outreach. And it will be done on multiple levels of media. And as Council Kopech said, we'll be having public meetings, face-to-face type meetings too. So that's pretty important to know. And again, just to reiterate, the town you still have two more steps at which you could back out if you wanted.
All right, thanks for the info. Good to know everything. All right, so we have Richard coming up. Richard, please state your full name and address.
My name is Richard Vancouver. I attended these meetings for a long time. I've never seen such a stunning lack of clarity. And when you have a stunning lack of clarity, it's best to somehow do something about the lack of clarity.
All right, thank you. Dr. Alba? Please state your full name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett. I actually participated in this alternative programming before because we all always had that option. And when I did it, I bought into it. They said, do you want to pay extra for the, for the more economical green, And I opted for the lowest price. So I think in these hard economic times, people are paying over $5, up to $5 even more for gasoline. It would be nice if, I think it was previously brought out, that this is clearly stated that all the options available, and maybe at our website, we can have all the different grid prices, as almost like buying gasoline, so to speak. After I did opt in, it was originally lower than National Grid, but then over the time, it was actually higher than National Grid. And because I locked in for the year, I couldn't get out of it. So it is a gamble. It's not always going to be guaranteed that just because you're buying in low, it could be like the stock market, so to speak. The price fluctuates from service provider to service provider. But let's hope through economies of scale, if the entire town buys into it, they might be able to get us the best price. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Anybody else? Okay, All right, so, I think Eva made a good point that this is really kind of to stay on track with the schedule. And we've been, that schedule's been clear since the beginning, almost a year back, or actually over a year back. So why don't we go ahead, if everyone's into it, and go ahead and take a vote? Unless anyone, right? Okay. All right, so the motion was to approve and adopt the proposed program plan. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion approved, 4-1.
I just want to state why I'm against this. Because the PUC are going to double rates, because of the confusion surrounding this, I just think the whole energy market should stabilize before we get the town involved in something like this. And that may be a few years away. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, number 8, I think. Yes, number 8 is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading the appropriation ordinance for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is our second reading of the budget. Any discussion? Okay, and I believe we do not take public comment on this because we already had the public hearing. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 9 is a motion to adopt a resolution establishing the administrative compensation schedule for fiscal year 2022-2023. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Oh, I think they look great. I just wanted to hear from the manager the rationale, because I did examine them. I think it looks great, but I just want you to explain to the public and the council.
Certainly. This administrative compensation schedule, as the council knows, sometimes the public isn't aware of it, is to set salary ranges for non-union employees, those employees who are not represented by a collective bargaining agreement. And annually, they have to be, the town council adopts a resolution setting these ranges. And in this case, like in previous years, we look at we try to make sure that the salaries are commensurate with their duties and comparable communities and their performance. It's always our goal to retain our quality staff and to keep them in the employ of the town. And in this case, some salaries were left the same because the range was appropriate for the positions. Others were increased about 3% for the range itself, and several others were a little higher because they were down below the range. We used comparables from the salary surveys that were put together by the League of Cities and Towns and the evaluations of the performance of the employees in those roles.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jim. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, Stanley? Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojcicki, 1044 Boston Neck Road. Yes, I did look at this, and I want to commend you for, there was some that showed no increase. And that shocked me, really. I said, wow. They looked at it carefully. They made a decision based on the right thing to do. And so I want to thank you for looking at it closely and finding those areas where you didn't have to increase and still maintain a good staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stanley. Anybody else? Okay. All right, are there any other comments from the council? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 10 under Human Resources is a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the proposed wages for seasonal, part-time, and temporary employees for the fiscal year 2022-2023.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Okay, anyone from the public? Stanley? Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojcicki, 1044 Boston Neck Road. Again, I want to commend the staff because they didn't just arbitrarily scoot up the wages as much as they could. And there was a few that just didn't increase or was minimal, and I have to give an attaboy for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Number 11 is a motion to approve the updated job description for the Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Which one are you doing?
This is the Deputy Director.
Oh, so in
Any-
the job description?
It's
including
just the job description, right?
I just have a comment about the job description.
Go ahead.
In the minimum required qualifications, it indicates some college education or equivalent. I think there should probably be one more line there that says a high school diploma or a GED is required, because otherwise, some college, you need to just make sure that it's clear that someone has at least a high school diploma, because if you say some college or equivalent, the equivalent could be no educational information at all, and then you have absolutely no educational information about that position. So it's just a thought, I would fix that. But otherwise, it's fine.
So that's a change, though.
Yeah, it is a change.
But, so I was just a clarification on that. So Deb, so if it's some college education equivalent.
Equivalent could be non-educational, it could be experience. And that's my concern.
All right, so I don't read it that way. I was just reading it as in like, you have to go to college, you have to have a high school.
I've written a million of these.
Or high school, or
Equivalent.
even to go to like trade school.
I got a GED. GED. I got 2 GEDs.
Can we just modify the motion to include that piece of information?
I think the applicant's resume will explain if he's qualified or not. I don't think we have to
It's not
really.
on there, it's not on the resume in this case.
I think it's easy enough to amend, right?
Yeah,
Might as
it's
well.
easy enough. It's just a.
Just to be, I
Yeah.
mean, you know.
But are
just
we
to be
gonna
sure.
knock somebody out that may be qualified?
Well,
No,
if they
Well,
don't
that's,
have a
do
high school
you,
diploma, yeah, I would say we would knock some, yeah.
What's the normal process there, Mr. Town Manager?
Yeah, for the deputy
Yeah,
director.
for the position, I would agree with
I
that.
will say there are, not just specific to this position, there are people that do not have formal education that can do
Absolutely.
excellent.
Absolutely, but
trades work
not
and-
deputy
and-
directors of a department, I would say. Who don't have, I mean, formal education, I can't imagine having very many positions in the universe where you don't expect someone to have at least a high school diploma. And a deputy director of a department, you know, and when you look at the requirements of that job, I would think you'd want the person to have at the very least
a high school
diploma.
Yeah, you're not looking for a college degree, but you're
Yeah,
saying you have to be in high
It's a
school.
small thing, it's not, it's, I mean, but, you know, I've.
Or equivalency, right?
Excuse me?
Either a high school or a GED.
Correct. That's all I wanted to say.
All right.
Just
Yeah,
want to modify.
I think you should amend it, just add it.
Yeah, so can we amend that?
Mr. Town Manager, is that gonna knock anybody we know of out of the hot seat or potential,
I hope
you know? Okay.
No,
So,
but you're
what do you-
covering
what do you
it
think,
with
Steve? Is
both
this gonna be all right?
GED or,
I know,
yeah, that's
all right.
Thank you.
Second,
so we need to have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to amend.
second,
Let her make the motion. She has to say the motion.
okay, third.
Go ahead, Deb.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the job description under the minimum required qualifications to include either a high school diploma or a GED.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, actually, sorry, any discussion? Anyone from the public on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0, and now for the overall motion. Was there anyone from the public interested in speaking on the overall motion? Okay. All right, so this is the motion to approve the job description. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Okay. Number 13. No, where am I? 12. For Public Works is a motion to appoint Darren McConnell as the Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works and approve filling any subsequent vacancies created by his promotion.
I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
Okay? Any masks up here?
No, I just, I don't know.
COVID.
Any-
That damn COVID councilman up here.
Any discussion? on
No.
this? Okay, anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Motion approved 5-0.
Darren,
Congrats.
congratulations.
Speech. No, you don't have to.
Okay. Number 13 is a motion to approve the replacement and repairs of existing 12-inch storm drain on South Hillview Drive to be completed by George Sherman Sand and Gravel Company, Incorporated, utilizing the miscellaneous repair and construction services contract in the amount of $36,500.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 14, under building inspection, is a motion to approve the contractual agreement between the town of Narragansett and Anthony D. Wojcik. That's not pronounced right, but to perform electrical inspections for the building officials' office from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Is
I'll
there a
move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 15 is a motion to approve the contractual agreement between the town of Narragansett and James Harris to perform plumbing and mechanical inspections for the building officials' office from July 1st, 2020 to 2022
I'll
to
move the
June
motion.
30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Susan, seconded by Eva. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And number 16 is a motion to approve the contractual agreement between the town of Narragansett and Russell DeGrange to perform plumbing and mechanical inspections for the building department's office from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Is there
I'll
a
move the
motion?
motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And then from the town council, number 17 is a motion to adopt a resolution to support the bike mobility plan.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, this comes from Councilor Bonanno.
So I just wanted to, I don't know if everybody looked at the 120 pages of the bike mobility plan, but it's a plan that the state's looking into that connects the bike paths throughout the state. There is a bike mobility committee, and I see two members sitting out in the public, and it would be Rosemary and David Smith. I know you sat on the committee. If it's okay with the president, if you could come forward and just talk about your work on that committee, it would be really helpful for the public.
Yep, come on up if you like.
If you'd like, no pressure. You know, as we're going into how important bicycling is, using our bikes with the gas increase and how much better it's for the environment, this is a no-brainer. I know other communities have supported it. It's a long-term plan, and I want to thank you both for sitting on that bike mobility plan, and I know it's great for Rhode Island, so thank you.
Thank you. We bought gasoline at $5 a gallon today, so we appreciate it also. Do I need to say, I'm Rosemary Smith, 24 Castle Road in Narragansett.
I'm David Smith, also at 24 Castle Road in Narragansett.
So Dave and I served on the Bicycle Mobility Advisory Committee from May of 2017 until the adoption of the plan by the state of Rhode Island in December of 2020. So it's about a 2.5-year commitment. The committee was composed of 24 people from around the state, and South County was represented by Teresa Tanzi, Faith Laboisiere from Charlestown, and David and I from Narragansett. This was a very expensive study conducted by the Rhode Island Department of Administration and the Division of Statewide Planning. It was staffed by engineering firms with specific experience in planning and constructing bikeways throughout the United States. The committee represented various bicycle advocates, environmental groups, and individual groups concerned with public health and safety. There was even a representative from the Rhode Island Department of Public Health. The committee did a complete inventory of the bicycle infrastructure in the state. They gathered comments in 8 public hearings held around the state, including one at the Narragansett Town Hall and another at the Neighborhood Guild in Peacedale. Public comment was also gathered in social media and on interactive maps of transportation facilities in the states. The bicycle mobility plan, oh, and I left it back. It's a big book. I have it back here if anyone wants
We
to look
have it.
through it. Shows that what has already been accomplished with shared use paths and on-street treatments, and it articulates the even greater need for bicycle infrastructure, border to bay, meaning the state line to Narragansett Bay in all directions. And importantly, the plan also graphically details the techniques for planning and construction and constructing the envisioned improvements. This toolkit in the plan is very helpful for community engagement. The Rhode Island Bicycle Mobility Plans identifies corridors for bicycle transportation, integration of bike paths and bike lanes, creating a statewide network, borders to bay, as we say, so that all Rhode Islanders have safe and convenient access to bikeways for daily use, recreation, and commuting. And that's a really big, important part for a lot of people. Implementation of this 20-year Rhode Island Bicycle Mobility Plan now requires dedicated funding because the plan will always be in stiff competition with bridge repair and highway expansion. The proposed bond referendum by Representative Teresa Tanzi is a great start. Other towns are showing their support for House Bill 8112, $25 million bond proposal to fund the Rhode Island Bicycle Mobility Plan. And tonight, we're hoping that the Narragansett Town Council will demonstrate this community's support for safe and convenient bikeways in Rhode Island.
Thank you, Rosemary.
thank you both.
Well said, thank you.
And we can answer as many questions as you can throw at us.
To the years you spent on the committee, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, where's Tansy?
It's funny you should mention that. She couldn't be here today, but she gave me a list of things that she wanted me to say on
Okay.
her behalf.
What, you have a flat tire? Or? No. The bicycle?
I don't pry. She texted me and said, "This is what I would say regarding the resolution tonight. The number of bikes sold have skyrocketed in recent times. We need to accommodate for them. It benefits tourism and the economy, benefits the environment, and reduces greenhouse gases. Gas prices are skyrocketing and are unstable." And she said, "Tiny Rhode Island allocated billions towards roads, and this would be a $25 million spend to jumpstart the bicycle mobility plan. Bond rates are still lower than past years, so it's a good time to do it." And she said, "We lost out on the money from the last bond that she herself had allocated for Narragansett, and we should do what we can to fund the process."
Okay, ask Ms. Tansy, there's a, what, $900 million surplus in the coffers right now? Can't we use some of that money instead of bonding out at higher rates now with inflation? The rate's got to be
I think,
4 to 6% right now for a bond, I would
right.
imagine.
I can't speak for her, so I can ask her.
Okay.
Resolution,
Well.
just saying we support it.
Right.
Well, I don't support this. It's just another, we got $4 billion in unfunded liability. All right. People are going to be sitting in the dock, freezing to death this winter because we're not supporting domestic energy. Okay? Now you want to spend money on bicycles. Well, I cannot support this.
Okay, Eva, any comments?
I think it's a good idea to, be out in the environment, ride bikes. The price of gas is going up. It's also good for your mental well-being to get out and be fit and get nature in. So I support this.
All right, thank you. Okay, Stanley? Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wachowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I love the bike path. My grandsons go there. It's much better doing a bicycle than running a car around when you don't have to, especially now when you can't afford the gas. So it's all a plus. Beautiful, beautiful. We love bike path. What I'd like to see is what is it going to cost us? I want a price tag. What is it going to cost the Narragansett taxpayer to have the bike path going forward. Like I say, I heard some, $10 million surplus somewhere. Again, another surplus somewhere. There's another surplus somewhere that probably could utilize on this thing, but we're going to be saddling the people with additional taxes. A bond is a mortgage. A bond is a mortgage. So you're going to mortgage us and our future generations. I know it's worthwhile and all the positives, but you got to bring up the idea of what the costs are, what the per person cost, what the town costs are. I want to see the costs, responsibility, costs, and then the alternatives. If we can go to surpluses to get this cost down, we got to pursue that avenue to reduce the mortgage. I don't go out and get a mortgage if I got money in the bank. What's wrong with government? Why don't they go to that idea? Get the idea. Did anybody take a finance course? You don't get a mortgage if you have money in the bank, unless you only have $5, I guess. But let's get on stream with this accountability. Accountant, will somebody take more courses in accounting to understand that going out and get bonds, mortgages, are not the answer to everything? Maybe that was years ago, but that's not the answer today when I hear all these surpluses. Let's stop this and get financially with it. That's the only negative I see with government today. The financial thing is 30 years old. Bonds, 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 bonds. I understand the financial system wants to nail the government. They can't get it elsewhere, so let's nail the government. We're going to charge this interest because we can. So you're being bullied by the finance guys with bonds. Okay, you got an answer? Go ahead.
I got a cost of $1.58 million for the town of Narragansett.
$1.58 million.
That's without financing.
But wait,
I don't want to hear that.
yes.
I don't want to hear it. $1.58 million. No, I don't want to hear it. Even $1 million. I don't want to hear $1 million. I love the bike path. I love everything about it. But I don't want to spend $1 million bond mortgage to get it.
And it's going to be voted.
Take your surplus out if you want. Maybe you want to do that. Okay.
It's going to be voted on.
All right.
I'm upset now. I wish I hadn't heard that.
Council, the council to...
Sorry, I just wanted to.
I don't want to hear that.
All right. Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
Dr. Alba?
Thank you.
This is just for the resolution to support it, guys.
Please state your full name and address.
Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. I love biking. Believe it or not, one time, this was before I put this here in, I put this in my dryer, but this was my high school biking shirt. For Casters, they sponsored Tollgate, class of 79. But I'm into staying in shape. I ran 2 marathons in my lifetime, probably about over 100 5Ks, quite a few, but multiple half marathons. So I'm all into enjoying the outside and exercising. I'm a proponent for spending money to enhance recreation. However, I was on a bike, I rode a bike. Michael Rounds, he was a great biker, a great leader. He was one of the best bikers in the entire state. I ran a couple of marathons, many 5Ks. I did not need to go on a special bike path or special training track for training. And I did pretty good on those 5Ks. I mean, I was probably the top 15%, 20% of the overall, you know. And we didn't need all these bells and whistles. In just today's paper, Ms. Lafortune, she says, I bike everywhere. I have stories of biking with my kids and my daughter carrying a violin. So so they're biking around. She's trusting the streets for a child to bike around. But then she says, now we also need even safer areas to bike. So I work at the state prison. I have people, clientele, who need housing. Okay, they need treatment centers. If we're going to be going into a bond, it's going to cost taxes to go higher, then Stan's going to have to increase his rents. So, I mean, then we're going to have maybe more people on the streets. So, I mean, it's a compound effect. Money doesn't grow on trees. My father would always say that, and I agree. He grew up during the Great Depression. And I went to state school, public schools, save money, work 2, 3 jobs. A lot of times throughout my life, my dad worked 2 jobs. But we have close to $1 billion surplus. Why are we creating a bond to fund this now? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. We have to think also about where we are spending money. Is it, as Stan always said, is it a need versus a want? Well, to me, a need is to find housing for the homeless, to find drug treatment centers. There's a homeless shelter right next to where I work, and sometimes the people are turned away because there's not enough beds. So all I would like to say is, sure, I love recreational programming, but I don't feel spending money and taxing our residents at this critical time is a smart thing. Affordable housing. In fact, on the Our Town Narragansett page, we have an affordable house. We had a poll.
Thank you.
Affordable housing was #1. So just consider that. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
I just want to clear up, though, just for the council, too. It's a resolution to support the General Assembly to get on the ballot. So tonight, we're saying that we support it at the State House level to have the voters vote on it. So we're not, that's all we're doing tonight, is standing by the bike path mobility plan, that we believe it's important for the state of Rhode Island. And so the resolution is just asking the council to support the connector. Yeah, so I just wanted to be clear on that.
Right, so just to, again, like, that's why, even if it does go, so it has to get passed through the General Assembly, it has to get passed through the House, the Senate, then it has to get assigned, just to make sure that it gets on the ballot. So everybody here, even if it does pass through the General Assembly, still has the opportunity to vote it down in November. So this is just to get it on the ballot, that's all it is.
All right, Catherine? Please state your full
Voters
name.
never seen a ballot,
Full name and
ballot
address.
initiative they didn't like.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. We can just do nothing. I would prefer that we did nothing because to support a $25 million bond like this, when Dr. Albert has quite clearly stated, and we know that there are people in this town that have financial issues. I can give you a list of 50 people that I know who have been told that they have to get out of their annual rentals. Procachanti just sent notice to the 36 people at 151 Ocean Road that they're not going to renew their leases and they're going to get a 60-day time period to leave. I think that if we support something like this, it's really going to look like we have our heads up our butt and we're just not paying attention to what's going on in the real world. Plus, didn't you approve a $20 million bond for roads and everything else? Can't we use some of that money for our bike path? I just think we should just stay out of this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, so we can go ahead. Yeah, you haven't, that's fine, David, you didn't speak before. She spoke, that's right.
It's like on the phone.
Just state your full name and address, please.
Yeah. David Smith, I'm 24 Castle Road in Narragansett. And 12 years ago, I placed 3 metal sculptures on Robinson Street along the bike path, and a park bench on Kingstown Road next to the bike path kiosk. Those structures were manufactured at the ACI. It was part of a program to teach metal working skills to inmates so that when they were released, they had a better chance of finding meaningful employment. Sadly, that program was discontinued, and I agree with Al that we should be doing much more for at least the prison population. But you can do those social programs, you can do affordable housing, and you can do transportation programs. But if you look in the bicycle mobility plan, you'll see this is not just recreation for rich people pedaling along the coast in their spandex outfits. The recommendations in that report include providing safe ways for people in central cities to commute to work, people who can't afford to have a car. Recent immigrants to the United States who need a bicycle to get to work because they can't afford to get the car, and they They're not yet eligible for a driver's license. If you have other transportation programs like building a highway, expanding, making 95 wider, and all the other expenditures, that's not going to, that's a direct benefit to people traveling through the state. But most of the items in the bicycle mobility plan have a direct bearing on bringing greater equity for transportation and living in the living experience in Rhode Island. So I would ask you to support this to show that we do support the objectives of the plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think David makes a good point that we didn't really touch on, was, acknowledging that commuting by bicycle is a legitimate form of transportation for a large, part of the population. Just because we don't do that doesn't mean that's not the only option for some people.
We all would be riding bicycles if we keep going the way we're going. Okay?
Hey, so good thing we'll have some bike paths. And I do want to thank David and Rosemary Smith
I won't be on the path. I'll
for
be taking a direct line.
their continued dedication to the bike path in Narragansett, as well as bike mobility around the state. I know that you guys have been on this for a long time, so we thank you for that. And also,
I
excuse me.
support the Smiths.
And we want to thank Rep. Tanzi as well.
Nothing about you.
Patrick.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, hit it.
Just chill. Thank you. Want to support Rep. Tanzi as well for her support on this and these issues through the years, too.
Yes,
So why don't we go ahead and take the vote? So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion approved, 4-1. Thank you. Number 18 is a motion to cancel the town, we should have support for this now. To cancel the town council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Is there a motion?
I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
All right, so I put this on. We have been pretty dedicated to sticking with our scheduled meetings. We haven't canceled any around the holidays since we've started. This one is the day after 4th of July. And I think it would be good for the staff and to the council to take a little break and cancel that meeting.
Oddly enough, I'm getting fitted for my new Speedo bike outfit.
Yeah.
That's a visual. Thanks for that.
Any other discussion?
Well, I will provide pictures.
Any council discussion?
They have imaginations.
Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right, motion approved 5-0. Number 19 is a motion to appoint, reappoint 2 individuals to the Coastal Access Improvement Committee. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay.
I have one nomination.
Well, why don't we go ahead first and work with the Robin Plasiak reappointment? So she's the designee from the planning board to the committee, and she's served already, and this is a reappointment. Any discussion on Robin? Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
Yay, Robin.
Motion approved, 5-0. And then nominations for the new, so Sydney Ghazi, who was appointed.
So
Go ahead.
who made the motion and seconded the motion on reappointment?
I did.
You,
I made it and I seconded it?
Second.
Oh, okay. So the motion was by me, seconded by Patrick.
thank you.
Sydney Ghazi was a appointment when we first formed the committee. She resigned, so we have an open seat for her term. And this would go to March 1st, 2024. It would be a partial term for this person, and then they'd be open for a reappointment after that. I have a nomination, and anyone else who wants to, go ahead. Susan?
I was going to nominate Josh Edenbaum.
I'll second that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, so he's a local guy. He's lived in Narragansett since the 90s. He's a photographer. He's a surfer. He's always at the beach. You always see him everywhere. He's got an interest in serving the town, and I think he would be very valuable to that committee. He just seems like it's in his blood. He just knows a lot about the coast and the beaches, and he cares deeply about it. So I don't know him well, but I thought he'd be a great addition.
Sounds good.
So I would like to, I know Josh too, I think he's a good guy. I did make a few calls just to talk about actual background and if there was any kind of expertise or any background information on any of these applicants that would be beneficial to the committee. And I talked to Callie Longville, who I hadn't known before. Gave her a call. She lives in the pier. She does scuba diving, surfing, kayaking, all those different water activities. But she's also an environmental attorney, so an environmental lawyer, which I think would be really valuable to that committee so that they are able to work within a framework that legally makes sense instead of kind of, possibly going off on different initiatives that might have some legal implications, to have someone with that real expertise there within the committee so that when they formulate their recommendations and even their motions and that sort of thing, they have someone with that experience. And I think whenever we have someone with a real targeted background that has just this, a good fit for the committee, that we should try to do that rather than just appoint people that we kind of think generally might be like, they like the water or they like access. This person would be, add a real valuable skill to the committee. So I want to nominate Callie Longville for the position.
So I don't want to, I'll withdraw Josh if he doesn't have the support. I don't want to vote somebody down on this. So, I put him up. I know him as a local guy. I didn't
I'll
happen
support
to go.
Josh.
Yeah, I just, I don't want to.
Whatever we have for the
Yeah,
consensus.
I don't want to vote him down. So what's the
Yeah.
consensus?
Have a town solicitor.
I think also, I know, but I also Jesse's the representative on the Coastal Access Improvement Committee, so, I would defer to his nominee.
All right, so, yeah, we don't want to be contentious. We're trying to build this out in a way where everyone has a role in the committee. And it's starting to happen a little bit organically, but we don't have that person with a legal background. And that's why, when I read her application, it really piqued my interest, and I went to learn more about her background. That's what she does for a day job, and I think she'd be a really good fit. Whatever we have for a consensus is what we should go with. And we don't need to vote anyone down. I think we can just discuss it and see who everyone prefers. So that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah, so Deb?
I think I'd just say that I don't know either of these people, but I do like the idea of Callie because of her expertise, and because sometimes we do come up with some pretty contentious issues with regards to coastal access. So I think it'd be useful to have her background and her skill set as part of the group as they go through the processes of doing the things they're
We
doing.
have a town solicitor,
We do.
okay?
We have a consensus for
We
Callie,
need an
so
attorney on every committee in
we
town.
have a
No.
consensus for Callie,
Well,
so
but
I'm
we'd
going to
also,
withdraw
James
Josh.
doesn't have unlimited resources to be called by every committee to get his opinion.
So I'm
Unless
gonna-
you prefer that, James.
Yeah, and also, there will be other opportunities that come
Right,
up later.
right.
Okay, so in order not to vote Josh down, I'll withdraw him because it seems like there's a consensus for Callie.
And honestly, there's 4 or 5 names in this list that I think would all be good.
Right.
There's one person who I wanted to put on when we first formed it, and I didn't name her now because this new one seems better to me.
Right.
James, should we have committees having attorneys giving them legal opinions? I don't know. How does that play out?
It doesn't, I don't think they can really give legal opinions in official capacity, but,
Right.
for example, Vin Delia was a lawyer. He was on the planning board, a pretty valued member for a long time. I think
And
he
he was
helped out a lot.
fabulous.
He was helpful when I was, before the board and actually representing the town, too. So
Right.
that's just an example. I don't know Ms. Longval, but I looked her up just now and seems very competent, for sure.
This committee and access is a contentious issue.
His name.
And I just don't want to see some major Supreme Court decision happening on the committee level and we get into a dogfight or something,
Patrick, I think it's great that you care deeply, but we don't have the consensus. So again, I'm going to formally withdraw Josh because it sounds like there's a 3-2, so.
This is one of those issues where we have a good problem where we have good candidates.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't mean Josh or a few others that I see here won't eventually be on, but I think we should just pick the one who's the best fit at this time.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay, so
All those in favor?
the motion is to I'll make the motion, I guess, to nominate and approve and appoint Callie Longville to the Coastal Access Improvement Committee for the member 1 seat.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion from the, anyone in the audience? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Okay, number 20 is a motion to reappoint 2 individuals to the Narragansett Housing Authority. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, do we have any appointments?
I have a nomination for Deb Durda.
Okay.
She's a longtime resident. She actually used to work in the town. She worked with the building inspector on minimum housing codes. And I think that she will bring the knowledge that they might be looking for.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? Do we want to do this as one motion to,
Do you have a second?
we
Oh,
could,
the other person was.
we could reappoint, if
Do the
people,
reappointment and then.
you want to do the reappointment
Yeah,
first?
do the
Yeah.
reappointment and then Deb Durda as the second.
Okay, can you make a motion for the
Yep.
reappointment?
So I'll
Let's
make a mo-
reappoint.
Oh,
Go ahead,
wanna do
go
it?
ahead. No, go.
A motion to reappoint Norma Jean Shelton to whatever position she had. Yeah,
And I'll second that
For
motion.
reappointment.
For
Okay.
reappointment.
All right, I never knew Norma Jean was like one word for a name.
I love that name.
Pretty
Norma
cool.
Jean.
All right, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0, and then for the new appointment.
Yep, so we said Deb Durda, and I explained the rationale.
Yep.
And we had a second, I thought.
Second.
Second from Patrick. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved 5-0. Number 21 is a motion to reappoint 1 Conservation Commission Tree Board representative to the Land Conservancy Trust.
I'd like to reappoint Brian Wagner for the 3-year term.
Second.
second.
Okay, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0.
Go Brian.
And then we have a motion to appoint 1 individual to the Library Board of Trustees.
I'll move the motion.
Do we have a
Second.
second?
I'd like to nominate Susan Amoroso.
Was the second Deb? Did you make the
Yes.
second?
Eva was.
Eva? Okay.
Eva was.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So Sue Amoroso is a resident in the town of Narragansett since 2000. She was a teacher, she had a BA at URI. She's committed, she's demonstrated her commitments to the library over and over and over again. She wants to be involved in the community, she shows passion for the library. Matter of fact, you all remember the Reader's Digest. I think she will serve that board extremely well, and I hope that I have a second and we'll pass that tonight.
Yeah, totally, everything you said, I agree. Yep, good. All right, anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor to appoint Sue Amoruso?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Motion approved 5-0, congrats. And then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the
Just can't
motion to
take